Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Our show today is A Woman's Prerogative in partnership with E360 TV. Today's topic is a wonderful topic that we're going to explore: forgiveness in a fractured world, finding hope and healing. I'm Caroline HEWARD. I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to be representing Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck as your host for USA Global TV and Radio's flagship show, A Woman's Prerogative. I'm a TV presenter on USA Global TV and Radio and also the resident therapist for USA Global TV and Radio. A very, very warm welcome to all our loyal viewers and our friends at E360 TV, whether you're watching on the live or the replay. Hello to all of our friends on our normal social media channels: YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook and X. I am joined today by a wonderful full-time panelist all the way from Canada, Reverend LYDIA FOUGERES. She holds some interesting perspectives and some dynamic insights in terms of what she thinks, in terms of how she portrays from her ministry. And I'm always insightfully interested to hear what Reverend LYDIA has to share from her practice of ministry. Reverend LYDIA FOUGERES, she is a TV presenter on USA Global TV. She is an author of Bilingual Self-Help. She's a registered nurse, a holistic nurse. She's an intuitive and spiritual healer. She invented Miracle Mist, which is patent pending. She's an advocate for free rights. Let's bring out Reverend LYDIA all the way from Canada.
Hello, thank you for a wonderful introduction. And thank you for everyone that is watching. So,
thank you, Reverend LYDIA. Please do
share
a little bit about who you are and what you do, especially for our viewers that are here for the first time on the channel or watching on the replay.
Well, what I do is I advocate for free rights, naturally. I do help people that have come to my country. I'm in Canada, so I do help them find lodging. I help them adapt. I'm an intuitive healer also, so I do heal with energy, with chakra healing, but also in a holistic way, because everything is from cause to effect. What I do also is that I hold retreats in the northern part of my province in Canada. And I help people find peace, inner peace, whatever, and find forgiveness in their heart for whatever happens to them. Because forgiveness is very important. And when we find forgiveness, we heal. That is what I do.
Thank you, Reverend LYDIA. And she does many more things as well. It's important for me to share that she also has this Miracle Mist, which creates amazing things for relationships. And she also is an author, and she is everywhere in bookstores. And I know that she's just recently launched a couple of new books. So Reverend LYDIA is highly acclaimed in terms of her authoring and her ministry. For me, I'm the resident therapist for USA Global TV and Radio. I've been here on the USA Global TV and Radio since the 7th of July 2021, so it's almost 4 years. And I've watched lots of changes within the channel, and I'm very pleased to be here on the way that this has changed in terms of its dynamism. And now we have over 100,000 subscribers. And so it's wonderful to be part of this team, and wonderful to be part of the fact that this channel has grown under the incredible leadership of Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. I'm also known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and I help people best their stress. How do I do that? I work with root cause therapy and chakra psychology, how the mind and body connects, and what happens to the person physically, emotionally, mentally, behaviorally when there's an imbalance. And the imbalance is the symptom. And if you're walking around saying, I'm not stressed, but then you're not sleeping, or you have a physical ache and pain, or you're complaining about a relationship, that is how your stress is manifesting. And I break through the repeating pattern that creates your everyday stress so that you move from a place of head to heart and a place of inner peace. I also do lunch and learn for corporates and for organizations, where I do talks around the lunchtime, lunch and learn. And I'm also on the channel in terms of Talking Heads. I do a Talking Heads stress get it out, Caroline. I do a Talking Heads expert show once a month, and that's coming up on Tuesday this month. So it's a different day this month, and I'm going to be looking at how mood affects us. So let's get into the topic, Reverend Lydia. I'm very excited for this topic because you chose the topic, the exploration of today's subject. So for you, Reverend Lydia, what does forgiveness mean to you personally? And how do you cope in terms of, especially in these challenging times, these changing times personally and globally, what does it mean to you in terms of you deciding to do this topic today?
I decided to do this topic because forgiveness means healing. Absolutely. When we forgive, we heal. And when we heal, we forget. So many people do not understand that the first step to healing is to forgive, and then we come to forget what even happened. So this is the wonderful thing about forgiveness. When we actually really want to forgive, we do. Because when we are the one that forgives, we're not prisoners anymore. We do not even know what happened. So when we forgive, we are free. We are free spirits, we are free birds, and we can move on, which is wonderful. And we can be happy and spread happiness around us. So this is the way I am, just like you are that way also, Caroline. So that is the way I see forgiveness, and that is why I chose the topic, because we both are the same.
Thank you very much, Reverend Lydia. A wonderful, insightful explanation. And when you were giving your explanation of it, it made me think of the fact that when you are in anger against someone, it's like holding a hot coal and expecting it to hurt the other person. And yet it doesn't, it hurts you. So when you are angry and not forgiving the other person can be walking around without even knowing anything. So you're in anger and in unforgiveness to that person, and you are the person that's suffering. So I totally agree with you, even though sometimes it can be very hard, especially if somebody's done a huge disservice to you, or committed a huge transgression towards you. That, sort of, I feel that we're all human, living in our human experience. What are your thoughts about that? Because we're not all perfect, and we do make mistakes, and we can say the wrong thing at the wrong time because we've got out the bed the wrong side, and we can land up in a situation where we've said the wrong thing, not realizing it's offended somebody else. So what are your thoughts in terms of how this can affect you personally if you have got out of bed the wrong side, have said something wrong. What do you do? What's your ritual, and what's the things that you do that make it different so that forgiveness works for you in your life?
Well, for me, it's easy. I actually think that way. I think that a person is like the divine source or a teacher. So I say to myself, if I'm angry at a person, it's because I did not do my homework. So if I did not do my homework, I cannot be angry at the teacher. So that is the problem. So if I omitted understanding someone, I cannot be angry at them because I did not do my work. So that is the way I see things. So I question myself instead. I do question myself. And lots of times I come to understand that I did not understand the person. I did not see it there in their point of view. I did not see it. And sometimes, since I deal with people from all around the world, sometimes I do not understand their culture. So we have to be careful because there is a culture thing also. And we also have to deal with time and space. So sometimes, like I have someone that I talk to a lot in New Zealand. For her, at this time, it's tomorrow and it's in the morning. So we have to be careful what time it is, what happens to them, and what's going on in their life, because it's their life is not our life, and we have to be very careful about that. So that's pretty much it. We do not know, and we should actually ask what is going on before but first of all, we should not even judge because judging is wrong. So that is the way I see it.
I am nodding
So
here in
if I'm,
agreement
so
and
that's
saying
it. And
we
if
don't
I'm
know.
angry, so that's it. If I'm angry, well, I'm asking myself the problem. I'm asking, what did I do wrong?
People like us, we do that. We focus on what did I do? How did I misinterpret that? But many people don't do that. They haven't done the kind of trainings or the work that we have done. What are your thoughts in terms of how do you handle somebody that's pointing the finger at you and blaming you that you did wrong, you did this, you did that? How does that work? Because there is many people that haven't done the type of inner work that you and I have done. How would you handle that, Reverend Lydia?
Well, the way I handle that is that, I do not point it at them. Absolutely not. Because it means they're not there yet. They're not ready to do it. There are some people that actually will never reach that stage, no matter what age they are. Some people are 90 years old and they have no maturity at all. Everything has to do with maturity. Some people are mature at 40 years old. Some people are immature at 80. So that has to do with life lessons, what we go through, the way we are born, the way we are raised, and the way we're surrounded. That is the way it is, actually. So it has to do with that. We just have to cope with them and just think, okay, they might not change. And we just have to try to deal with them in a different way without being angry, because it is not us that will change them. It is them that has to change. And sometimes it is us that has to change also, because maybe it's us that does not get the big picture.
I'm so in agreement with you there, Reverend Lydia, because when we soften and come to terms with what the other person is saying, it changes the outcome, and it can actually change the way the other person feels. So there might be very divided, unforgiven, very angry, and yet when we change and we accept and we honor them in a space of compassion, things melt, and it becomes a greater than what was not working. And I've done that so many times in terms of friends and family, because we're all on different paths, we're all in different places. I kind of think that there's no upper or lower or middle, we're just in different places. So I liken the fact that I'm in England and you're in Canada. And I have family that's in Birmingham, and I have friends in the US, like Dr. Jacqueline. So we're not in a different place in terms of we're not higher and lower. We are in different places, literally, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And if we accept that we're in different places, you're quite right in terms of culture. You know, what in England, I had an American boyfriend a few decades ago, and it was like talking to somebody that was in a different language. Even though we both spoke English, we had different understandings. And when he thought I was saying something negative, I was actually saying something positive, because the words some had different meanings. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is really hard work, because even though I wasn't being negative or he wasn't being negative, there was a misunderstandings. And I feel that this is another great area in terms of looking at forgiveness, misunderstandings. We are living in a world where there is so much division, so much divide, so much misunderstanding and miscommunication. What do you think? Why do you think forgiveness is so difficult in our times of division and in our times of challenge? And I'm looking at globally here, that I've seen such an outcry in social media of people saying, this is right, you're wrong, this is the only way. How can we forgive those who trespass against us when they're not saying it physically, personally, and yet they're saying it from a place of the fact that the world is so divided? What are your thoughts on this, Reverend Lydia?
Well, my thought is that if someone actually holds a grudge against someone else for their opinion, well, it's very immature, because, we think differently and we see things differently, and we are affected differently by different outcomes. So sometimes someone will see something in a way and it will be fine for them, and it's totally the opposite for someone else. But it just does not mean that they are for something and we are against something, that we should be against one another. That is the way I see it. We can be friends, but still not be happy about something. So we can be in complete disagreement about situations, but be total friends with anything. So I do not see situations as something that should cause disagreements. I see that sometimes there's always a solution anyways. I am a person that I agree to disagree, because I think that's a very easy way to get out of a situation. Because first of all, as I always say, I was born a Christian, so I believe in every religion. I was born a Christian, so I always say the same thing. Whatever you think, I think Christmas Day will be the same day for every one of us. No matter the religion, it's going to be December 25th. So it does not really matter whether we agree or disagree. The important thing is that we can get along no matter the disagreement.
I love that, Reverend Lydia. And that's one of my sayings that I use, especially in politics, because you're never going to agree with everybody. War, all of these are very sensitive areas that you'll never get everyone to agree. And so I feel that that phrase of let's agree to disagree is such a calming phrase to use, because then it's respectful of both sides. And I think that, you know, if there's a message that anybody that's listening here that's struggling to find a place of forgiveness towards themselves or indeed another person, that having this analogy to agree to disagree is so transformational for the person that is in angst and stress and in that space of anger because they haven't found forgiveness. Well, we are just about ready to go over to our very short commercial break. We will be back very shortly with more interesting facets and more interesting exploration on forgiveness in a fractured world, finding hope and healing. Let's go over to our short break.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com.
Hello and welcome back to A Woman's Prerogative, where we are exploring today forgiveness in a fractured world, finding hope and healing. We are here live, if you're watching live or on the replay, in partnership with E360 TV. And I'm going to quickly bring out our full-time panelist, Reverend LYDIA Fougeres, who is our full-time panelist, and we have been deeply exploring forgiveness. So welcome back, Reverend LYDIA, and welcome back if you're watching here on the live or the replay. Reverend LYDIA, do you believe it's possible to forgive without forgetting? And what does that look like?
Yes, it is possible to forgive without forgetting, because sometimes we forgive, but if we forget constantly, well, we can be hurt over and over and over again. But it is better to forget all about it, because the thing is that, you know, most of the problems are not worth remembering anyways. So that is the way I think. You know, most of the arguments are really not worth remembering, but sometimes it's serious. It really is serious, and they have to be remembered, not to be done over again. But I wrote a quote in my book, and my quote is, "Memory is a faculty that forgets that we have forgiven." So I come about with that quote because people forget they have forgiven and then have this pinch of, I do not know if I really forgave. So they come back into that souvenir. They come back and they say, you know, I do not really know if I have completely forgiven. But if they keep on doing that, well, they have not forgiven. So they have to forget completely about the event. And the first one to forget the event is the winner in everything. The first one to forget the event is always the one that wins, because they are free. And freedom is the prize. So that is the way I see it.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. I'm so in agreement with what you've just shared, because when you forgive wholeheartedly, it's not about forgetting, but when you forgive, you lift the burden of holding on to what was done, and you move into a place of inner peace. And I feel that that's more important, because we're here for such a short time on this earth. If we're carrying all of that as a burden, it really crucifies us rather than the other person. Reverend Lydia, I want to look at injustice, because in life there is a lot of injustice. I speak to many people in terms of clients, just people that I've met while I'm traveling from one place to another, and I'm hearing a lot of injustice. And when they describe, he did, she did this to me, they did that, the global economy is this, the rising costs is that, it all feels like a huge injustice. So what can injustice and hurt, if it's going on, and there is a lot of people here in today's climate globally that are feeling this injustice of everything that's going on in the world, how can someone find it in themselves to forgive, knowing the injustice is still there?
Well, it is hard. It is a hard one. There is injustice, but at the same time, there is some place to look out also. If someone actually completely always focuses on injustice, they will only see injustice. That is for sure. But if someone actually focuses on the positive things that happens and focuses on the little gratitudes that happen every single day, well, they will focus less on the injustice that is going on. So, what happens is that when a person thinks, okay, today I will think about 3 gratitudes, and yes, there is injustice, I know there is, but at the same time, I have to think that there is a form of justice also. We see a lot of injustice, but it has been there since the world started. So it is not that injustice just started. Always has been there. So we have to understand that it will always be there, it has been there, and it will continue after we leave. So the thing is that at every time in our lives, there has been injustice. When you talk about the Great Depression in the 30s, okay, there was a lot of injustice, but those were the 30s. My grandmother used to say it was a very, very, very hard time. Those were the 30s. They felt there was injustice, but those were the 30s. Now we're in 225. So there's still injustice, but we're still back to the same thing. So that's 100 years ago, but they felt there was injustice. So there is always injustice. There will always be injustice, and we have to find a little bit of happiness in whatever injustice there is. But when you go and you see children that are in countries, underdeveloped countries, and you see them, they barely have anything, and they're dancing and they're chanting and they're happy, and you can see them. Do you think everything is fair for them? Absolutely not. Things are really unfair for them. But at the same time, they do not focus on injustice at all. They focus on happiness. So it depends on what a person focuses on.
I'm nodding here in total agreement. We're on the same page in terms of how we view things and how to make the world a better place and how to create more peace, not only inner peace, but actually global peace. Because this injustice, and what comes to mind is Nelson Mandela, and he was incarcerated for having a very different opinion on how things should be for the Black community, for the man and woman of color. which was, that was what it was called then. And he was incarcerated for many, many years. And yet he had a gross injustice, and he still came out full of heart, full of compassion, and full of empathy. And just in thinking about that huge injustice that he was incarcerated for many years, they didn't ever take his heart. They said, you can cage me. You can't take my mind. You can't take my heart, and you can't take my peace. What are your thoughts about empathy in the role of forgiveness?
Well, we have to have empathy. We have to have empathy, but at the same time, we cannot be in sympathy all the time, because the thing is that it does not belong to us. We can be good listeners. I will give an example, a life example that happened to me just yesterday. Someone called me. They explained to me about all that happened to them in the last 2 years. I was thinking, oh my Lord, it is terrible what she went through. But at the same time, it did not belong to me. The only thing I could do is listen. But she went through so much injustice that the list was so long. But at the same time, the only thing you can do is that you can have empathy, but you do not live it. That is the thing. You can listen. You can help by listening. You can help by being there for them, but you cannot fix it for them. That is the only thing. We are all human. We all do mistakes, and we cannot fix everything for everyone, because that is too much to put on our shoulders. We can only be there for someone that lives an injustice. That is the only one thing we can do. Be there for them.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. And I wholly endorse what you're suggesting there in terms of being there, listening. Sometimes that's all they need, an ear to be heard. And that's all. They don't need to be fixed. They don't need you to solve what you believe is a problem. Sometimes the empathy, the compassion is actually about being there for the other person without needing to suggest anything, just to be there with an ear to hear them and actively listen to them. But what about if somebody just does not want to forgive, that holds this big grudge and is hell-bent on creating this huge anger between you of something that happened 20 years ago? What would you suggest in terms of the person that doesn't want to forgive you, that feels you've done them a huge injustice? Because this can happen in families, this can happen in communities, this can happen on social media as well. That, sort of somebody's said something that's really offended the other person, and then that's it. It's like daggers drawn, and I'm not interested. I'm not going to forgive you. What are your thoughts in terms of the fact that somebody is not willing to forgive and will hold a grudge against you?
Well, I have a way of coping with that. I write letters. I write forgiveness letters. I forgive them. I distance myself from them. I do distance myself from them. But at the same time, I write a letter that I do not send. And I write what they did that hurt me and what I did that hurt them. And once it is done, I burn the letter. I do not send it because, sending it would be hurtful. So I just burn the letter and let the vibrations elevate, and I let the divine source take care of the situation. I bless the situation because I believe in blessings. I bless the situation. I bless the person. And it is not because that person is not in my life anymore that I hate that person. I do not hate that person, because hate is actually the thing that hurts oneself. So I do not give the power of hating someone to someone else. I do not give that power to anyone because I do not hate anyone. Because when you hate someone, you give them power. So I suggest that if someone hates someone, to stop hating them, because by hating them, they give them power. So you send love. That's the only thing. You send love, you distance yourself from the person, and that is all. You forgive, you write those letters, and you try to understand what happened. But when it's impossible, well, you just distance yourself from them. And sometimes they really did hurt, and you really did. But if they did, it has passed. It's gone. So you cannot relive a moment. It's just like, as they say, you can never meet someone for the first time a second time. So that is the way you do it. You try to move on lovingly, please. That is the way. The secret is moving on lovingly.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. And again, I'm nodding. This is the way, it's the gateway, the segue to inner peace, by moving on and also taking the wisdom from the experience, from the situation, because we're all human here, having a human experience. Reverend Lydia, do you have one final message that you could share in terms of the power of forgiveness?
I would say that the power of forgiveness is the greatest power that someone has. People think that money is the power, that having a great and big house is the power. But you know what? Forgiveness is the greatest power that someone holds in their heart and in their life. So if they have the power of forgiveness, they have all the power. That is it.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. What a beautiful final message. Forgiveness does not erase the past, but it lights the way forward. May we all find the courage to choose our hopes, our healing, and our understanding, because in that space, we will find a place of inner peace. Forgiveness is the fragrance of the whole situation of moving forward. It will crush the indifferences, and it will move us forward into a place of inner peace, inner heart, and it moves into our communities as well as our environments. And this is how we can create world peace, by using the rationale, the ritual of forgiveness. Thank you very much. Reverend Lydia, please share how people can contact you and the best way to reach you.
They can call me in Canada, whether it's WhatsApp or by message. They can text me a message at 1-514-582-6882. They can also write to me on my email address at greatdivinemother@gmail.com. They can also join me on my website, lydiafougere.com. And they can write on Amazon, where my books are sold. So 111 Reflection for Thy Earth Odyssey, tomes 1 and 2. So they can reach me and follow me on Amazon also. And my Facebook, I have a Facebook account for my author Facebook. So thank you very much. And I always answer. I'm available, and I'm happy to have people read me. And my miracle mist also is available on my website, lydiafougere.com. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. What a wonderful exploration that we have had on forgiveness. Thank you very much for providing the essence of the topic that we have explored tonight in tonight's show. And we have been exploring forgiveness in a fractured world. finding hope and healing. And I do trust that you have found what we have shared inspirational. And remember, forgiveness is not a gift to the other person. It is a gift to ourselves to find a place of inner peace. Thank you very much for joining us. It has been my absolute pleasure to host this show tonight. And if you're watching here on the live or the replay, a really, really warm wish that you find a place of forgiveness in your heart for whatever injustice or experiences that are not working out for you. Find a place of inner peace by using the ritual of forgiveness. It will set you free and liberate you. Please join our VIP community and become an exclusive VIP community member for first access to our newest videos, photographs, and insights on the British royal family, which is live streamed on USA Global TV and Radio and YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much to all of our friends on our social media platforms. It's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to catching up with you next time. Before I go, you can follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook, and you can reach me on No More Stress at live.co.uk, or call me on +44 if you're international, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to seeing you next week, 7 o'clock British summertime, and that's 2 p.m. Eastern time. Bye-bye for now, and look forward to seeing you next Monday in a place of forgiveness and a place of liberation. Bye-bye for now, and over to our sponsors. Thank you very, very much to our wonderful owner, broadcaster, and listener extraordinaire, and founder of USA Global TV and Radio, who's been doing the extraordinary Wizzy effects behind the scenes. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.